gentlemen, and everybody else, welcome to Berlin, Germany for G2 Esports taking on the Mad Lions. I'm Quickshot, joined by Dagda and Caedrel, and I am intrigued to see what Mad Lions have cooked up against G2. There is no doubt in my mind that G2 are the heavy favorites, so how do you think Mad are going to approach Game 1 and the draft today?
It's going to be a hard one. I think the G2 conundrum is something that no one's really solved throughout the entirety of the year. I mean, they're just seeing the stats of Yike and Mikyx being first in everything throughout the entire year is quite scary to play against. There's a little bit of pre-game chat going on where they're having a bit of banter back and forth about this MVP vote, Nisqy and Mikyx. So they're trying to trigger each other, which is good, and Carzzy's just trying to get Hans riled up by saying, let's go liquid.
I think kind of coming back to your point, though, it does feel like you have to solve G2 because there's so many things even coming into the draft where you're like, well, what the hell are we supposed to do? Because you look at things like the Draven, that's permanently banned against the bot lane. Even the Kalista has started to be a permanent ban against them. Then you've got Kog'Maw Braum that's in their back pocket as well. It feels like G2 are always a step ahead. Even the lads hinting on at Euphoria as well, that like you got a Felios mid as a backup for Caps as well. Like, you never know what these guys are going to bring to the table.
We saw the Evelyn last week against BDS from G2, not the most successful of cooks. Will we have any more unique picks today? Let's find out. Jumping into draft, G2 picked a blue side for Game 1. Poppy immediately removed from the pool, followed by the Jace as well as that Lilia. So Dagda, no bot lane bans as of yet. The question is, where will Mad Lions be prioritizing their next moves?
It still means you got a lot of stuff open, like the Ivern, the Maokai, Sejuani, Xayah. Like, there's a huge amount of these power picks that are still up and available. So I'm curious to see what the game plan is. The fact that Mad Lions are already banning the Nico, though, you can tell that they're a bit fearful of Caps and what he can bring to the table with that pick. But again, this is kind of like a unique ban against G2. This isn't something that we see a huge amount of the time against a lot of the other squads.
Yeah, I'm just considering the Draven right now to see if that's a last ban for Mad Lions, because if it is, things like the Tristana are open, the Maokai is open, and I feel like there's a lot of power picks available. See if G2 try to cut off a couple of those, because on red side, that'll be actually quite helpful for Mad Lions in this kind of scenario. You know, the Azir is still up as well, which would be a nice pick for Nisqy if he wants to go that route.
The Tillia gone, Tristana still up and available as well. So there's a huge amount of these power picks that are still there, and I'm curious to see exactly what the plan is going to be. Maybe, yeah, okay, Rel just going to be taken off. So Draven will be left up and available, but again, it kind of coming into this, like we've seen the Mad Lions aren't prioritizing your typical AD carries. Like the last series that they had against XL, they were leaving Xayah the right way through to the second ban phase. They were going for things like the Sivir, the Varus, these kind of things, not your traditional AD carries that we've come to expect in the patch.
No doubts there for the Maokai. Locked in. Yike has played that 5 times this summer. Every single one of them has been a victory for Mad Lions. Currently looking at that Rakan pick. Obviously, in terms of the jungle pool, Elyoya also going to consider just locking their Sejuani immediately.
Got a really exciting jungle matchup. You know, the double AP tanks. I feel like the Mad Lions Rakan blind here is a bit dangerous. I think picking Rakan on 2, I think G2 would slam Draven Nautilus or something, and that would be a bit sketchy to play against. I think Tristana can work well, the Azir can work well, the Renekton can work well here on the 1-2. We've seen many different things, but if they go for the Rakan, I feel like G2 can go for Draven Nautilus, unless they want to prioritize other roles. No Kled will come through because there's no Renekton blind. Mad Lions are aware of the Renekton blind, and they know G2 will have that in their back pocket, so we'll see how top lane pans out. Yeah,
there's also the option to just take the Xayah here and just take away the Xayah Rakan on the opposite side and even just go for a bit more of a steady matchup. The Tristana to be expected here, but I think you're kind of looking at, for G2 Esports, you're happy out with the way that this has gone through. Like, you're getting so many of the super strong picks, and I think if you do finish with a Xayah, like, what exactly is Carzzy going to bring to the table in that response? You could
Kalista.
go for... Okay, going to be the Kalista instead.
So what do you make of the Kalista then as an opposition to the Draven, and we talked a little bit about?
I think this Maokai could be a bit of a flex in a sense, because Kalista will want to play with things like the Nautilus, will want to play with things like the Alistar as well, and if those two are pinched away with Rel down as well, and Rakan taken away, you kind of lose the engage support.
I think Leona is your other option as well. Like, we saw it creep up a little bit in Mia Masters as well, so I think that's still very viable as a pairing as well, especially into the Rakan. You get a lot more of that lane bully style, so always an opportunity. But Azir going to be taken for Nisqy on the opposite side. I think this is still a nice pick and will lead to good team fights, but again, AD carry gone to the second rotation.
Yeah, the thing is, I expect Mad to ban Alistar here, and then if you do go the Leona route, that's great, but also Yike's most played jungler is Trundle, and the Sejuani is already picked up, so they could also just pivot and just put Maokai support, pick Trundle on 4, but then they're going to need some kind of AP top out of BB. It's going to have to go for something like the Rumble, so I'm not sure if that's a comfort direction for them to go in. So we'll see how this Maokai pick pans out. They can also just do the Renekton Cassante blind on 4-5 for BrokenBlade, or the Jack Mikyx or something along those lines, and then just pick a support anyway, like the Leona.
If that Maokai does go to Mikyx, it'll be first time in his hands. Xayah has now been banned away, denying that bottom lane duo from Carzzy and Hylissang.
If they ban Ezreal, do you think they'll go Blitzcrank actually?
That's actually a good one, yeah. Maybe that's the option here. I think with Sivir still up and available though, maybe that's not the best direction.
Well, Alistar's up now anyway, so I think they're out of the trenches with the Alistar being open.
So let's talk a little bit about the top lane, as we've not really highlighted them just yet. Chasy popped off on that Camille last week. BrokenBlade obviously has had a stellar back half of the year. In terms of picks that are still available, you see that Renekton's been removed from the pool, potential for the Jace as well. I mean, Dagda, what do you make of this top lane matchup and what direction they could take this with draft?
Yeah, I mean, the Renekton coming to Gwei just kind of gets rid of some of that aggression on that top side. You've still a lot of picks open available, though, and things like BB has kind of been the one that's able to respond a lot to the Renekton with things like the Kled, so I'm not fully surprised to see Mad Lions take it away, but I am curious. I think you leave counterpick for Chasy. Chasy's been willing to bring out things like the Camille and have actually Mad Lions play heavily towards him. We saw it in game 3 versus Excel, so I think Mad want to try and keep that under wraps a little bit here.
I don't understand this 4-5 from Mad Lions, from G2. Why didn't they take away Ezreal? They're giving them a Philios and then they can play the Alistar or Blitzcrank, but I feel like if they're playing Maokai support, it's fine to give them Ezreal, you know, but playing Alistar or Blitzcrank or some engaged support into Ezreal just feels a lot more difficult. They are going to play the Maokai support, so that makes more sense to leave the Ezreal open. Beryl plays Maokai. I mean, as much as they got knocked out, he plays it into Rakan. As Rakan Ws you just W him and you can't get knocked up, and you can also Q his dash as well, so we'll see if they... Is that Lissandra support?
Wait, hang on a second.
It's Lissandra support.
Okay. And Cassante. Okay, so what do you make of this in terms of the lockdown? Fantastic, right?
Yeah, I think it's great. Same idea. Lissandra W as soon as Rakan goes in. I think you end up in a pretty nice spot where you can just send her in. She's a lot of safety there. But I am actually curious to see what Mad Lions want to lock in here for Chasy. I feel like, yeah, going some sort of a bruiser top laner like Camille, Jax works out super well against the Cassante. Cassante nice in the blind pick, but now with the Ezreal on bot side, I think you just play heavy for chasing top side.
Yeah. This Lissandra support's caught me off guard a little bit. It must be Lissandra support, right? This isn't going anywhere else. Now, we were expecting Alistar Blitzcrank into Ezreal, but I think they didn't want to go that route. That's a really tough lane to pull off to get kill pressure. They've gone Lissandra instead. Now, I was playing a lot of solo queue recently. Lissandra support is really strong into Rakan. That guy W's in with ult. You ult him first, he's dead instantly. If you don't have Merc Treads, there's no way for you to come out. So it's a really good answer to the Rakan, similar to the Maokai support in negating the Rakan's engage. The Ezreal will play with Cleanse, I expect, but with a range support who has engage as well, you can get a pushing lane as well.
First time we've seen that in Mickey's hands. The last time we saw Lissandra support was 2019 in the LPL. So straight out the gate, in game 1, we've got some shenanigans afoot.
I'm actually wondering, wasn't it Hilly who played the Unsealed Spellbook Rakan back in the day as well? Or maybe you end up taking like something like an early cleanse and you try and play for the with the Unsealed Spellbook, so you still have exhaust and ignite and all that for your fights.
I'm looking at it here. Mickey's played a hell of a lot of Lissandra supports recently in solo queue. Aftershock, he's going to go for something like Evan Shroud Zhonya's, or he's going to go for Everfrost sometimes as well.
So how well will this work for Mickey and G2? We'll find out as we're hitting the rift for game 1 in this best of 5. Both of these teams are going to Montpellier. The winner of today's series will be waiting in the final. The loser facing off against Fnatic. Let's hit the rift for game 1. Welcome to Summoner's Rift. Caedrel, I'm immediately going to ask you to set some expectations. How is this 2v2 going to play out in the bottom lane, or what would you anticipate from the early stages of this game?
I think G2 can just play a really heavy bot side. I think Maokai Lissandra lockdown post 6 is just, there's no counterplay. Nisqy's really going to struggle into that if they want to move mid as well. But yeah, I think Lissandra should get the push in this lane with Kalista, and it's on Mad Lions. Do you match that and try to punish the mistakes, or do you just play top side and just sack your bot lane? G2 already going for some kind of invade.
Yeah, gonna go look for the invade, but I agree with Caedrel here. I think the focus though on that bot side is going to be on Hilly. The claw coming through from Mickey is going to be very telegraphed, and Carzzy also having that cleanse means it's going to be very difficult to try and keep, try and lock him down. So I think it's actually going to be trying to focus down Hylissang and see if they can burst him out with the Maokai, with the CC coming through from Mickey as well. before he can try and get away.
Yeah, they just swept that ward on the top side of the map, so they know Sejuani's starting there, but of course the Azir and the Jax got some experience, so that helps on the first wave in terms of trading. Caps is going to then invest a second ward to make sure they can keep track of Sejuani, see where she goes afterwards. Caps just jumping on top of Nisqy.
A lot of damage already from that rocket jump. Nisqy's down to at least half. Caps takes a couple of slashes from those sand soldiers, and Nisqy fancies a couple more autos. Caps already pushing this wave just a touch. And keep an eye on whether or not he's going to dive forward, because Caps has several times this year gone very aggressive very early.
I think there's a really smart pathing coming out of Elyoya here, because I really feel like there's a really easy clear bot side into enemy bot side for Yike. So he's doing buff to buff here to mark that off here, Elyoya. He can do blue into Gromp, but bot stacking a wave, so he's making sure he can't get invaded. Yike will walk in and maybe try to contest some wolves, but it's really smart here from Elyoya to cover off his jungle camps.
And you can already see here, Hansama and Mikyx already taking control of this lane, pushing Carzzy and Hylissang all the way back, trying to deny as many minions as possible. I think for them, a little bit lucky, Elyoya starting the bottom half of that map, making his way top, and getting a little bit of trading here, not expecting too much. Here's already another move, Yike stepping forward into the jungle.
Why didn't Elyoya do his Gromp? He's left that up now, so Yike can walk in. That'll be contested instead of the wolves.
All right, Hylissang already moving towards that tri-bush, as well as Mikyx into the river. So contest over this Gromp for now. While that's going on, Caps is looking for that bomb to explode on Nisqy's head, finds it and starts to back away.
It's still level 1 though for Hilly as he's trying to help out on this. Mikyx and Hans have already hit the level 2, so you got to completely back away here for Elyoya. And as Caedrel said, I'm not really sure why you didn't try and clear that Gromp before you tried to move through here. Cutting back on him means that you just lost it.
Yeah.
Punished for this one. Hold on, keep your eyes on this. Mikyx, that glacial path can get him under the tower. Didn't quite see if he has leveled it up just yet. Here comes Yike, Caps as well.
He can just flash W, can't he?
Elyoya's just over the wall, and first blood secured by Yike. Not going to take any more turret shots. Mikyx does get caught by the wall. Couple more autos is all that's needed. Elyoya does get the reply at least.
Yeah, nice reply from Elyoya. Might just get him at Chasy, knocked underneath the tower. The two
shots. Chasy's taken down. Well played by BrokenBlade.
That's a disaster in the top lane. Chasy should have so much control there, but unfortunately he takes that step too far, and now Hans might have done the same.
Using that passive to try and dodge away from skill shots takes a lot of damage. Kudos to Hilly immediately landing that knock-up, knowing Mikyx wasn't in lane.
Yeah, trying to punish the roam from Mikyx, but you can see they can stack bot waves and threaten dives to make Elyoya hover, or they can use that bot push into mid and just look to target Nisqy. It's only going to get worse post 6 because, you know, Lissandra ult with the Maokai is no real way he can move, and this big stacking wave back into G2 means Mikyx will catch a lot of experience. Unfortunate for G2, it's a 1-for-1, but I think the way they played out that sequence was very well played.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you've managed to crash this wave, though, means you lose out a little bit here for the Kalista in the bot lane, but this is just super nice from BB. Chasy takes that step too far forward, tries to go all in, and it means that BB's just able to knock him underneath the tower. That's a massive mistake from Chasy there. That should never happen.
A lot of blocking there from BrokenBlade to try and be annoying to get that second shot in, otherwise Chasy would have been able to run away. The body block comes through.
And committed the flash as well. So BrokenBlade, that first kill in the top lane. Take a look at some of the stats he's had throughout the course on the season finals. 10 KDA, 20% damage share, gigantic 500 gold difference at 14. I mean, he's been one of the standout players on pretty much any pick. You just saw him there executing Chasy under the tower. While that's going on, Hilly as well as Elyoya challenging for some control in the river, pushing forward. They've got another ward down. Keep your eyes on that bottom lane. No movement yet from Hansama. Cap's going to be happy to trade some of this damage back. But yeah, Mad Lion's already 1,000 gold down, and he's going to escape that one immediately.
Yeah, they are committing to this bot side, but you can see Yike's coming out of base now. They haven't really got the pressure. Mikyx's managed to defend this Raptor camp well, and with Hansama roaming out of bot side, bit of wasted time from Elyoya. So Mad, they're trying to get aggressive because they kind of feel like they need to, but there's not really these areas where they can actually try and punish.
It's interesting because Yike wasn't even there, and it's the jungle support of Mad trying to take Raptors, but because G2 had push in mid, Caps defended them with Mikyx. That was really important, because if they just gave that up and just went to base, or they just stayed in their lanes, Sejuani would be even with the Maokai, but right now she's still one camp down in terms of experience, and then Yike will finish up his Krugs, and then one more camp and he'll be close to level 6, so that really helps Yike out with them defending his camps.
I mean, G2 already 1,500 gold up at the 6-minute mark, punishing Elyoya in his jungle, setting up a fantastic tower dive mid. Admittedly, there was that counter kill. And once again, Yike making his way towards this bottom lane, clears out the ward, starts to step into Mad Lion's jungle, and for the time being, this bottom half of the map seems to be G2 controlled.
And I feel for Elyoya in this one, because your winning lane is supposed to be on that top side, and because Chasy ended up screwing it, it means that now BrokenBlade is in a position where he has Sheen, he can trade real effectively, he's pushing in now. It looks like Elyoya going to try and make a play on the top side, because he assumes that G2 off of mid and bot push would go for Dragon, but will be spot on the ward here.
Really like that move there from Yike as well, waiting for that vision from Skull to time out. He finds the route onto Carzzy. He was able to buffer that E at least, but a good trade from this bottom lane. Yike is inching closer towards level 6. He's going to be starting off the Dragon and keeping an eye in the middle lane here. Caps the level advantage. Will get scooped back. Goes underneath the tower. Buster shot. Rocket jump, and the auto will not kill Nisqy. Sand Soldiers continue to trade, and Caps forced to back away. I think he had a minion there just in that last second. Now all of a sudden, BrokenBlade may need to use that flash. Dashes for now. Gets stunned up by Elyoya. Is going pulls Chasy underneath the tower, and he does it once more.
That was nasty from BB. Manages to catch out Chasy with the flick back. Beautifully done, punishing the lack of flash.
Oh, Carzzy and Hylissang, both of them are rooted up. Summer pushes forward and gets the kill with that rend. Another secured for G2.
I think G2 are just styling on them at this stage, winning top, winning bot, and Elyoya running around trying to see where he can have an impact, but just doesn't have a chance here.
Oh, BB sees Elyoya on the ward. He just kind of made fun of him, didn't he? Dashes away, W's the stun, then gets hit by the Sejuani. He Qs the Jax, flashes behind him, ults him into tower, gets him into a tower shot, and then dashes back to avoid the last auto attack. I mean, what more can you want from a top laner who's playing this quote-unquote weak side and just letting his team play towards mid-bot?
It does not get more beautiful than that. And you take a look at those gold differences. Every single member of G2, barring Yike, is significantly ahead of their opposite number. As a team, they got the Dragon as well. Their gold lead continues to bloom. And I mean, Dagda, you talked about it a little bit. The fact that this top lane is falling further and further behind. Now Mad Lions are going to commit even more resources. Both Hyli and Elyoya making their way towards this top lane. And G2, if they wanted to, they could have tried to surround them.
Yeah, they were hoping maybe they could pick BrokenBlade, but at least get a freeze here for chasing that top side. If they got the pick, maybe they could try and contest for Rift Herald, but there's not a hope in hell they can try and go for it now. So BB with support, Chasy in trouble.
Does Mikyx commit to the dive? No ult, no flash for BrokenBlade. Elyoya is waiting in the wings. He's got that ult available as well. And it looks like Yike is sticking on that Rift Herald for the time being.
There's a ward in between Tier 1 and Tier 2 bot lane that's going to expire around 20 seconds after Caps' TP comes up. So there's an option for G2 to get Herald, reset, go towards bot, and then TP behind, but Nisqy might be in trouble.
So running out that Emperor's Divide. Hylissang's rooted in place. Mikyx and Caps are going to be able to just walk their way out of this one. Yike, level 6. Maybe throws down that Nature's Grasp. Holds on to it for now, but he did secure the Rift Herald while Nisqy was using that ultimate somewhat defensively.
You have to be so careful here, it's mad, because you can see G2 want to try and move bot lane. Caps.
Oh, Caps gets caught out, throws out the ult, and knock up, lands onto Mikyx. He's going to be able to use that Glacial Part to get away. Mad Lions now running, rooted. Nisqy's held in place. The Nature's Grasp doing work. Wait for that bomb to explode, and Nisqy's just about popped in his own jungle. 5th kill of the game for G2.
And that's just what I was about to say. You've no flash and Nisqy, and you got to try and move into this bot side of your jungle to cover the potential roam from G2 down to this bot side with the Rift Herald. Mikyx nearly gets caught out, but it's going to be G2 once again winning on the map.
I think, Caedrel, you mentioned him a second or two ago. G2 are just styling on Mad for the time being. Not only are they moving around the map more effectively, hands-wise, they're also outplaying Mad in the skirmishes.
They just have so many priority lanes. Bot has constant push, mid has constant push, and top's just outplaying. So when you get fights like these where the 3v3 is actually somewhat playable for Mad, in comes the Kalista. They were all forced to run away. You know, Mad could try and fight back there, but the fact that Kalista's coming means they have to run away. And BB's already trading on Chasy again. This matchup, obviously Jack's favorite after one item, but yeah, BB's just way too far ahead at this point in time. They're going to look for a desperation play onto Hans here. Oh, he hit someone in the bush. Hans should be a bit careful.
He is nearby. This is a 3-2 for now. Hylissang steps out. Mikyx stepping into the bush. Let's find out. Mikyx 6 throws down the 2. Summer's already picked up a kill. Carzzy forced to flash for his life. Glacial Path forward. One more pierce. One more auto. And it's a double kill for Summer. And Mikyx escapes with his life.
It's beautiful. It's art. You know, every single lane, constant push, constant pressure. And every single time Elyoya tries to gank a lane, it gets turned on its head in numbers disadvantages. 2v3, 1v2, G2 just own the entire map.
So for game 2, imagine ready to. It's not any of this.
Bot tower's gone in 11 minutes. Top's lost 2 plates, 3 plates. Mid's just under tower the whole game. This game is unplayable for Mad Lions.
It is a shellacking to start off the series. And this is, of course, one of the more frequent matchups that we've seen all time. 28-21. 5 series wins for G2 to the 4 of Mad Lions. In 2023, it's pretty heavily G2 favored. I think in terms of coming into this matchup and into this series, G2 was still expected to be the heavy favorite, still expected to come away the victor. But the way that they are playing this opening game is even further beyond my, biggest expectations for what G2 could do.
Yeah, I think it's the fact that they're just flexing on Mad Lions, right? You get Mikyx who's bringing out this Lissandra is a great answer to the Rakan. BrokenBlade, 1v1, 2v1 is managing to turn around top lane plays in a bad matchup. Like everywhere across the board, G2 are just showing that they are far better, at least in this game, than Mad Lions are.
Look at the itemization as well. Major items completed for 4 of the 5 members of G2 in terms of combat gold, plus 7,000 over Mad Lions. And they can just bully their way anywhere that they want. 12.5 minutes on the clock. Dragon number 2 is spawned. And look, Mad Lions, they see them coming, but they cannot stand toe-to-toe because they simply cannot look for a straight-up head-to-head fight.
Yeah, and I think this is where you want to try and move Hilly to work with Elyoya to see if maybe you can get Chasy something in this top side. Like, kind of just watching G2 take Dragon is going to help.
All right, round 2. Level 10 for BrokenBlade. Got the flash, got the ult, steps forward. Gets the knockback, continues to run for his life for now. Elyoya's holding on to that prison. BrokenBlade literally is walking away.
Not again. BB can knock them.
Oh, no. The ult comes out. What to go out? BrokenBlade's got 1. He's not done just yet. A 3-level advantage, and Elyoya is trying to get as far away as possible. You cannot stop BrokenBlade. Can he get the final kill? Looking under the tower.
BB.
He gets it. One last auto, and BrokenBlade wins the 1v2.
It's just an absolute montage around the entire map. BB pulls it off again and again and again.
I mean, what's the definition of insanity? Well, actually, might need to wait here.
Let's find out. Yike will get taken out, but he manages to cast the ultimate before being taken down. Buster shot in the last order from Caps. Gets an immediate reply. So at least a small solace for Mad. But this is a huge mountain to climb.
I was going to say, because it's not even. Hans is going to take red. Immediately, Tristana is going to go top and potentially take that top tier 1 as well.
Mikyx does have that frozen tomb available, and Hylissang's being burnt down. Tick, tick. Mikyx gets himself another. Play was secured as well, and Mikyx and Hansam are now looking to take even more gold from this mid-outer turret.
It's just so difficult, isn't it? It's not only the gameplay here. BB just outplaying constantly, W's them both, dashes away. Stacks the Qs up while he's taking all of this damage, and as Mad Lions come underneath the tower, he's going to Q3 the Jax, and then he's going to get the ult. Flashes away from the stun at the same time on the knock, buffers it. Then he dashes to exactly where he knows he'll be, because he knows he has to escape tower range, and then it's just a chase down, isn't it, on just landing Q3 the second time around against Elyoya. The Kalista Lissandra, the Cogmore Brown. How many more bot lane combos has G2 got ready to find ways to just get push, be able to roam, or even threaten dives constantly?
It's also Chasy basically signing himself to Ornn duty for the rest of this series, because after this, BrokenBlade has completely dismantled him, gets the 1v1 in the early stages, and then every time Elyoya has tried to help out, it's only into the disaster for Mad Lions.
Let's take a look at this. 4 members of G2 making their way towards the middle lane. Yike will taxi forward onto Hilly, and this tower is a breath away from dropping. Mad Lions cannot stand toe-to-toe. Down around 8,000 gold at the 14-minute mark. Gonna lose their second tower immediately. And Herald will be available if G2 want to pick that one up. Look at the resources. Now looking to secure the 3rd outer turret in that top lane. 2 members of G2 being jumped on.
Oh, really?
Will be the target first and is taken out immediately. No other support from Mad was stepping forward. So unfortunately, that's the 12th kill secured here for G2. And I think, Dagda, what so for game 2, let's think about this one just a little bit. Because for G2, they are just executing beautifully. Take a look at this. That's once again the Frozen Tomb. And just to get that Emperor's Divide out is enough damage from Carzzy to get a reply kill onto Mikyx. Elyoya throws out the prison, catches up Yike. He's stepping away, and Hansama may need to body block if Carzzy continues the chase. But while that's going on, look at the top and the bottom lanes. Both Caps and BrokenBlade continue to press forward, continue to chip away at those towers.
Yeah, I mean, Mad trying desperately to hold on, but there's just not really a huge amount they can do. You're winning it across the map. They have to overcommit members everywhere. And it's 16 minutes into the game. It's Rift Herald only just available now. They get to just crack open the tier 2s.
It's a 10,000 gold lead in 60 minutes as well when this Rift Herald falls as well. So, I mean, what do? You think about game 2. You can see Nisqy on the player cams laughing. I think Mad Lions will just have to say this is just a happy little accident game and just focus on the next one. See if G2 can close this out smoothly. But G2, no strangers to having a few happy mistakes during a game that's inevitably so clean. But they have the champion to scale well. They have so much skirmishing power. Their Baron secure is super easy. Lissandra Maokai ults, the Kalista as well, just for safety.
Yeah, but I do think for game 2 coming into this, I think getting Chasy onto just tank duty in that top side and then trying to see if you can play more heavily around the spot lane. Because when we think back to the Excel series, look, Mad Lions were behind pretty much across the board. You saw the stats earlier, like no first towers, no first Rift Towers, no first blood. Like nothing went well for them in the early stages. But a huge amount of that was, well, we can rely on Carzzy on a thing like a Sivir or something along those lines in the later portion of the game. So let's go towards that. Having this sort of composition where you've got Carzzy on an Ezreal and you're like, well, we can't really play around boss. Our top lane has been an absolute disaster. And then you're still trying to play around mid, but Mikyx is beating you to the punch line every time. So I think for Mad Lions, you got to try and find some way to figure out how to play this early game and specifically shut down Hans and Mikyx, the MVP in that bot lane.
And don't forget the fact that the early jungle invades really just gave G2 complete control. Stepping into challenge Elyoya, he skipped the Gromp, was punished for it, then opened up for the tower dive, and once again, Hylissang the target. Caps and Mikyx looking to run him down. One more auto will do it. Caps is on the board, the first of the game. Mikyx's not done yet. Continuing to step forward, push that vision line, got back up from Yike. Once Caps brings the wave forward, Mikyx's going to self-cast in, a little bit of trouble. Gets pushed backwards into the waiting arms of Carzzy. Teleport coming down now here from a BrokenBlade. Yike throws out Nature's Grasp, and Two-Shot Barrage won't find its target. So yes, another kill. Take a look at just how much map control G2 have. We're not even 20 minutes into the game. They're starting to continue chipping away. Rift Herald's available to them, Dragon's available as well. If Hans and BB stick around, Mad may fancy a fight. That's the knockback. Time to go all out. Hans Summer forced to cleanse. Holding on to that flash for now. BrokenBlade in the midst of 4 Mad Lions. Won't be able to find the kill this time around. Caps has been able to respawn and rejoin the fight.
Oh,
Chasy not going to be taken out just yet. Caps flashes forward. Gets it with the buster shot. W's once again forward into Mad Lions. And Hilly running for his life. G2 melting through the Mad Lions.
Is Hilly dead? He has nowhere to go. Hans is on one side, Caps is on the other.
GG Hilly. The kill secured. The 4th for Caps in a matter of a minute or two. That gold lead is 11,000, 12,000 now. And they're going to start pushing into the inhibitor turrets too. I mean, if they get a good wave to push on, we could get a Dancing Herald.
I mean, look, maybe they shouldn't. I was actually going to joke about it, take the inhibitor, because it might give away Mad Lions a way to come back into it. That was not going to be the case. I think G2 just can do whatever the hell they want, but at this stage, you're going to be able to take this game.
I mean, listen, this is just beautiful play from G2. The draft playing out a little bit of a surprise with that Lissandra. We were ideating if the Maokai could have been one of the flex picks. And then just in-game, every single engage is executed great. I mean, this is 2v4, 2v5 to start it all.
Yeah, I mean, you can already see the flick back coming through onto Carzzy and Nisqy as well, both immediately regarding life choices. And then as G2 are coming in here, as soon as Caps shows up, you're like, this is just reset central. Look at how low Mad Lions are across the board, and as soon as he gets one, he's going to be able to follow up on everyone. Yike here, playing front line, will go down, but sets it up for the great cause that G2 have already set up for this game.
Sometimes it looks like G2's playing with fire when they're so far ahead, taking 2v5s, but eventually it all just works out in the end, and they find kills. Hang on a second, there's a 3-man Baron going on. Now, what'll happen first? Will G2 finish the game, or will Mad Lions get a Baron? Place your
dropped. We're
guesses
gonna find
now.
out. G2's gonna win the game.
Guys, they're heralding your base.
It's not even down to half.
Oh no. Oh no.
The pressure. Nexus star number 1 is taken down. Yike is thrown out the ult. Baron still standing, and teleports and recalls coming in.
Are we gonna get a Dancing Shelly?
Onto Nisqy. 800 hit points on Shelly. The Nexus is being focused, and if Shelly's gonna die,
don't get rid of Shelly.
Do it. Nisqy to the win.
We got the Dancing Shelly, didn't we? I mean, it was a 15,000 gold lead in 20 minutes. Basically flawless from G2. Nothing to criticize. Even the Dragon Soul was up in a couple of minutes. Worst case if they ever had to find a fallback plan. So, yeah. What are your thoughts on game 1, Dagda?
Yikes.
Yikes
What do you
indeed.
do? Going back into this, it's like, all right, lads, so the game plan is we take everything we just did and immediately put it in the trash. And then we gotta come back with an entirely new idea.
So listen, on the flip side, right, that game was a complete blowout. So mental reset. Mad Lions will be able to have side selection in game number 2. What do they change? What do they target, you know?
I think this is like, you can look at drafts and say it was a draft issue, because G2 will always play really heavy skirmishing, but you can also just say, well, I think the gameplay needs to be cleaned up a bit. Don't get sucked into the chaos, and maybe just play at certain windows and slow it down.
Stronger early game, maybe a little bit more information. We'll find out what Mad Lions are going to do on the other side of the break.